Morning. That was quite dramatic, wasn't it? Friday at last. Friday morning. I'm going to finish off this DX27 PDI. I'm just going to double check all the levels and just check it over, make sure everything's right, make sure everything's as it should be, and then we'll go off to the wash and give it a rinse off. And on my way up into Scotland to service a digger. Nice steady Friday. I need to be home on time tonight. That was the last thing my wife said to me before I left the house, so we must be home on time. Okay, so the wash is currently in use at the moment, and with it being Friday and I'm going to have a fairly quiet day. Like I say, I need to get home at a decent time tonight. While the wash is being used, I'll do you a quick little van tour, because I've had a few messages on Instagram asking about various bits and pieces that I've got on the van. And I've also remember there's a few YouTube comments asking for a bit of a tour. So I got this van in back end of May 2022. I've got 86,000 miles on the van now. So in 2.5 years we've got 86,000 miles. So what's that, about 38,000 mile a year. Wasn't too bad. I know some of the lads at HQ that run up the west coast up to Auburn and Fort William, bits like that. I know one of the lads that got a van 6 months earlier than me. He's well up around 130,000 miles now. The van itself has been excellent. I really haven't got any complaints about the van. It's running really well. Haven't had any major issues with it. It did break down within the first 10,000 miles. It put me into limp mode on the motorway, and that was what was that, Al? Something to do with an air pipe drawing air in somewhere where it shouldn't have been. That's the only real problem I've had with it. So yeah, we'll start in the back of the van. I'll show you what I've got where, and I'll probably talk about bits and pieces that I would change. So yeah, we'll start with the toolbox. I've put that way on. Made a little extension to go into the step space here, so it brings the whole toolbox that way about 3 or 4 inches. The door is still allowed to close. As you can see, it's nice and neat. Some people do like the toolboxes through 90 degrees, so it's here, but that would leave me a space of about that to get in and out the back of the van, which is inconvenient to me, especially when I'm lifting services, loading up for services in the back of the van. I'm just straight in through the side. Further in, I've got this light bar here, which Dave sent through to us, and that's a great job. It's like a floodlight, so it floods this area with light, and then I've got this spotlight which was already fitted. I can have that pointing into the van for where I'm working on my workbench, or it'll swivel around and I can sort of spot bits that aren't quite lit up enough. That's a great job. Down under here, the vise might be something that would change. However, it's there and it's out the way, and you'll have seen in the video earlier in the week, I open a drawer like that and then put a drain tray on here and then open the vise up, and the drain tray catches all the stuff rather than it going onto the floor. But I did have it on a separate workbench last time. I think the workbench was here last time, wasn't it, in the old van, and I had the vise there. But yeah, I don't mind it there. It's alright for the amount of times that I use it. Down here I've got a 3000 watt inverter. It's not on a leisure battery or anything like that. It's straight off the van battery. It's got a built-in kind of system that switches it off when the van battery drops below a certain voltage. So that kind of protects the van from not being able to start unless I leave it switched on over the weekend. In which case I generally find that the van won't start, so I just need to remember on a Friday night just to switch it off. And that inverter quite happily runs that Nespresso machine. Hear it beeping there now? That's it faulting because the voltage is dropping on the van. And it also runs this compressor quite happily as well. If you're using the compressor an awful lot, so the compressor's always recharging, it will run the van battery / inverter down. But all I need to do is switch the start and run the van, and can use that merrily. But for the occasional use that I use it, for blowing odd bits and pieces out, you don't really need to have the van running. It's only if I'm blowing down a load and shovel in a recycling yard or something that I'll run the van and give everything a good swish off. In these boxes here, I've got charging cables for various different things, like my Bluetooth speaker that lives there. I've also constantly got this on charge because it's time of year now where I need a torch readily available and charged up, like yesterday. Grease cartridges, gloves, a couple of head torches in there as well. And here I've got jump leads and tire inflator. That's about it really. I've got Wi-Fi on the van. This is the router. It's got a 3 SIM card in it. It picks the signal up from the roof. You can use it with, it comes with the little antennas like that, and you can use it with them, but the roof dome gives it a stronger signal, or it catches the signal better, and that's also a great job. Got this homemade shelf unit here, which was in my previous van. All the shelves are angled down the way, and it's just to store all these different toolboxes, diagnostic cables, pressure gauges, socket sets, things like that. That's a great job. And then I've got my shelving unit out my old van. It stood up really well, to be fair. It's bot racking, both pieces are bot. And this one especially stood up really well to the forestry roads jingle jangling about. It's tied into the wall of the van there, and same again over here. I think, yeah, it's on that bracket there. I think it has peeled itself out, so I've added this piece on, but it's not going anywhere. Along the top here I've got regularly used items, 2 different AdBlue pumps. Some of this Perkins stuff I'll probably use now and won't restock on the van because I'm seeing less and less Perkins stuff. That's handy to have though. What is that, Al? That's the electric lift pump for a Perkins, and they're quite handy to have on. I've got aerosols in here and fuel filters. In my previous van I used to carry a full set of filters for 85, 140 and 225, but I found that when I was going to a service I was picking up the filters anyway, and I never used the filters that I had on the van, so I'm just carrying fuel filters now for eventualities like not starting, etc. These shelves have held up really well, like I say. Got rags, jacks and straps, bungs and shims. My old oil pump that I used to use regularly for draining hydraulic oil and things like that. I got rid of it. You never know when it comes in handy. Zip ties and some sampling gear in there. Spare parts such as solenoid coils, switches, sensors, things like of that nature. Abrasive wheels and tapes, and what else might be in there? Emery paper, and then box of bits and pieces, odd size bolts, Doughty washers, grease fittings, a couple of catches there as well. Look. Hydraulic fittings, hydraulic testing, bits and pieces, some random fittings to be able to do different adaptations so I can tee into various lines, fuel hose, and a couple of different quick hitch pipe arrangements there. New oil along the bottom, 2 drums of engine oil, 2 drums of hydraulic oil and a drum of gear oil, 2 waste drums, coolant. This is the only shelf that's let me down, and let's be honest, it's way overloaded. I've got all lifting chains, straps, and a come along in that box there. I've got big bolts, quick couplings and quick hitch kits, spare parts out of quick hitch kits, which is handy to have. In the drawers here I've got all my electrical wiring stuff in here, fuses and connectors and wire and all bits of loom that I can rob plugs off if I need to. And here I've got, that's a low pressure test kit for the low pressure side on fuel systems. Roll pins and split pins, O-rings, more O-rings, aircon O-rings, various different thread locks and stuff like that. In here, it's that one. Oh, that's the bottles for testing injectors. New and unused that actually, but I've got it just in case. Got an ECU there for a old style DX63. It's got a fault on it for the cold start device, but if I've got a machine that won't start and I suspect the ECU, I can plug that in to prove a point or recover a machine. Quite handy to have. Various little filters here for AdBlue pumps. Just a lot of stuff that is regularly used. I've got a joystick there, and then AdBlue sensors, AdBlue testing gear, that sort of nature. And up in here, that's my go bag if I've got to walk out to a machine that I can't get the van close to. Fill that bag up. Laptop case, not that I ever use it. Heavy bags for filters, hydraulic filters, and various manuals for different bits and pieces. And this is my messy area really. Got my fire extinguisher there, which never been used, but I don't even know if it works. Alloy wheel cleaner for cleaning the van. These two boxes here I use for when I've got parts to go and fit onto somebody's machine. New parts go in here, parts to return, generally warranty parts go in there. Spray bottle for truck cleaner. I've got some truck cleaner, truck wash, what's it called? Yeah, degreaser. It's a big drum of degreaser. And this is the biggest change that I made from my old van. My old van, all my servicing gear was underneath the workbench here, but I found that I was bringing a lot of muck into the van when I was servicing, and also sort of spilling oil as well, and waste oil and stuff. So all my waste stuff now is at the back of the van, or all my servicing stuff's at the back of the van. So I can grab it from the floor. So I just open the back doors and everything's available to me without having to climb into the van and keep the muck out. Drain trays and funnels and more drain trays, pipes, waste oil filters and pipes for drawing air, engine oil out of sumps, and the gear oil pump down there. Gear oil pump is a great job. That is fantastic. That is a Samoa hand pump, and yeah, it's not even a hardship to change final drive oils, slew gearbox oils with that. When you're putting the oil back in, it's dead easy. So I'd definitely recommend one of those if you're on the road. And that's the back of the van. Nothing that would really change, I don't think, other than I would never have overloaded that. I should have known better. But it's this was a temporary repair. This is an on the road temporary repair. I had a bit of angle iron that I had lying about, and that temporary repair has turned into a permanent repair. But no doubt when I get a new van, some of you might want to know how often do we get new vans. When we had the Vauxhalls, they were to change every 3 years. However, when it came up to 3 years, we ordered Sprinters, and we were on a waiting list with it for a Sprinter for about 18 months. This van that I've got is actually a cancelled order, so I wasn't ever meant to get this van, but I'm glad of it. The van that we were meant to get was a front wheel drive Sprinter 315, so less power. This is a 317 rear wheel drive. It's got a fantastic amount of power. It's nippy, and yeah, it goes well. It goes really, really well. And I wouldn't like to go back to front wheel drive van, I don't think. Yeah, it's a great job, it really is. We'll go and have a look at the outside, shall we? At the back of the van I've got my eyeline strobes, so apparently strobes at eye level as well as the chevrons on the back of the van, allows for motorway maintenance, motorway breakdowns. I think I've only ever been to one motorway breakdown, that was with my old van, but yeah, you have to have chevrons on the back of the van and various beacons. Biggest change I made was the reversing camera. That goes straight into the screen on the van, and that's a great job. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. I've got 4 work lights at the back, so the one's pointing out the side here, that one up there, complements the van light on the side door there. And 2 pointing out the back and 1 pointing off the driver's side. They're a great job. Tow bar on the back, but I haven't got a trailer anymore, which is a shame. Yeah, I'll go into the van now. Okay, so yeah, biggest change I made on the inside of the van was putting this false roof in. So this is 19mm plywood, so it's quite thick and heavy. And I fitted this so I had somewhere to store all my boiler suits. It's got a double action to it really. It acts as soundproofing and insulation because I've got all my boiler suits up there. It's nice and cosy in this van when the heater's on. I don't think I've ever had the heating on more than 23, 24 degrees. And then first thing I did when I got the van was I took this bulkhead out and I put some Dodo soundproofing onto it, and then put this fabric on as well. And I just used not double-sided, it's that spray-on glue and an aerosol, and it's not coming away or anything like that. And that just keeps the jingle jangle of everything in the back of the van out from behind my lugs while I'm driving. And that's a great job. Some people have asked where I got this from. This was sent to me by Sean up in Aberdeen. I think he had a mate that's got like a plasma bench and he made it for his van. And then he sent it to me. Ha. I've got overhead storage here. I've got a CB that I use for when I'm in the forestry, generally just to listen out for any timber wagons coming. But a lot of the forestry digger drivers also have CBs on, so if I turn up unannounced I can give them a shout on the CB if I don't have any phone signal. And they can come to the roadside. Creature comforts, I did have a fridge, don't have that at the moment, but I'll probably get one in a Black Friday deal from Halfords because I'm not missing it at the minute, but in the summertime I definitely did miss it. Keeping me bait cool and everything like that. And then, switch wise, I've got a USB plug down here for charging my phone. I like my phones to the right hand side rather than in the centre of the dash, like a lot of people seem to use the phones in the centre of the dash, but I find it creates a blind spot and it's sort of always there in your way, and I find it naturally when I'm using the sat nav on one of the phones, I find it naturally easier to look over here at them rather than over here. And then I've got my camera. Instead of putting my camera on the reverse feed, I've put it on a separate switch. There you go. 2 reasons for that. I couldn't be bothered to find the reverse wire. Apparently it's a grey wire with a blue trace that runs through this tray under here, but I've just put it on a switch. And I've found actually that when I do have a trailer and I'm towing something, I can flick the switch and check the load on the trailer. I remember last year taking an engine back out to, was that last year or this year? Could have been this year, could it? I think it maybe was this year. Taking that engine back out to that DX85, I could keep an eye on the trailer, make sure it wasn't falling off. And then I've got work lights, and I've got beacons and work lights, and then a couple of things just to make it feel homely. These orange marker lights, they were just spare from my old van, and they're just cheap Amazon marker lights. The lights going around the inside of this to make it glow are the same lights that are under here, and they are off Amazon as well. If you look up LED light strip, it's generally for going around the back of your telly screen at home. and it's like a double-sided stickiness. However, the double-sided stickiness didn't want to stick to this sort of stuff, so these ones here are actually super glued on. But yeah, it's a nice bit of ambient lighting, because I'm a bit of a weirdo for lights. That's pretty much it inside. Yeah, I've got loads of manuals and odds and sods under the seats here. It's a bit of a faff to get to them, and you know yourself nowadays, most manuals are on a USB stick, so I don't know why I keep them. That's all I do, the training notes rather than the manuals, but we get our training notes on USB sticks as well. So anyway, that is a pretty full tour of the van. Like I say, 86,000 miles, it's been a great van. What's it doing? It's averaging about 30, late 20s to 30 miles to the gallon, depending where I'm going, which is, I think, is acceptable. Like, my last van was down in the lower 20s, so we're better off that way with the bigger engine. I don't run overweight. I'm running at about 3,150 to 3,200, somewhere around there, so I've still got 300 or 400 kilo capacity to put stuff on if I need to. So yeah, it's a good job. Right, I'll go and see if the wash is free. Just need to give that a wash down, and then I can get out of here. That 27's finished. I've got that roller jump started and running, and I've got that DX19 running after being jump started. It's been sat a while, that 19. It's not done much work. Oops. But it's been sat with the isolator on. So I'm going to let that run, and I'm going to get rid of all the filters off the back of the van, and then load up, and on the way past I'll switch that 19 off and isolate it. Get out of here. Nice easy morning and a nice easy afternoon. Aha! High track. Good. This high track's got its own name. Irene. I got a phone call. Irene needs a service, I'm saying. Don't really provide that sort of a service, Dom. Irene the DX160. 4,500 hours, so it's gonna get engine oil and fuel filters. And it's got that super duper attachment on, look. Okay, we'll get the final drives figured out. Forward a touch on this side, which makes makes it easy. This side, oh, anybody's guess. Oh, there's the level. Can both probably go forward the same amount. Oh, this one's got a key code. What's the code for it again? Oh, I can't remember what the code was. Of course, it's not the same as the Dash 7 that they've got, so I had to phone the driver. Oops, someone put the overload on. Overload. I had to fair lump that grab saw, look. Nom. Rotate, and then pretty sure if you press that one. Woo! You want to see the saw? Let's see the saw. You ready for the saw? Strange, that's really slow to come out. Maybe he's got the tap shut. I wonder why that is. They haven't complained about it. Normally that saw should just go like that. Yeah. They haven't complained, so I think that wants to be about there, and then this one wants to be about there. Let's see if I'm right or anywhere near. Well, that one's pretty good. Yes, that'll do. That'll do fine. This one can't be far off. Yeah, that's perfect. Right, we'll leave the machine running so it's warmed up. I'll get the oil out of the hubs. I can do that while the engine's running. Oh yeah, the refueling pump's not working on this. I need to do that. It's a quite horrible job to be doing. So, I need to leave that in the cab. He's gonna have a go at fitting it himself. It's a solenoid operated check valve, which needs to go on the Dash 7. And if you can't fit it, then I'll call in. But it's a bit of a ways away, and I'm kind of waiting on another job up in that area to go and fit it. They don't need it just now. So he's gonna have a go at that, and if he can't manage it, then I'll go and do it. Okay, get suited and booted. Oh, that stuff is ready for a change, isn't it? Yeah, it's done 500 hours since it was last serviced. They're good at keeping machines serviced on the clock. The last time I'll have serviced this machine was when I came and put tracks and sprockets on, chains and sprockets on, which feels like it was last year, but I think it was the beginning of this year. So it hasn't done an awful lot, but wherever it's been, it's been doing a bit of tracking evidently. So we'll see what this side's like and see if there's an abnormality, because normally when I change the final drives at 500 hours, it's surprising how clean some of them come out and how black some of them come out. And that's the perfect reason why I do it every 500 hours. If I'd left that at another 500, that oil will have been totally burnt and horrible. Oh, definitely tightened them up anyway, didn't I? You can't say that. I'll leave them finger tight. Oh, that one's gonna go around. Get a hammer. Okay, let's have a look at this stuff coming out of here. Oh yeah, just as black. There you go. I would be concerned if one side was black and one side was still fairly decent, but yeah, they're both the same. Certainly smell the same as well. If you know, you know. There we go, engine oil's coming out. That's one thing I like about the Perkins, is the tap. Don't need any special gear. Just unscrew the tap, it comes out. If your drum's filling up, turn the tap off, put another drum under it. I think the mess on with trying to get a pipe onto a set of threads. So, the little things, isn't it? Right, I'll get these keys out of here. I'll unlock some cupboards. It's nice and quiet here anyway, which is good. I'm hoping this weekend I can get rid of this chest infection. I'm barking away. You don't hear me or see me, but I am barking away like a reeling behind the scenes. Right. Everything looks normal in here. Just everything in here is to change then. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's been the most productive week this week, but I'm still feeling pretty run down. The beginning of the week, like I say, the beginning of the week, what was it? 120 mile there and back, so 240 mile, and then another 300 mile day the next day. So Monday, Tuesday, I'll have spent That was a 6-hour drive and then 2 2-hour drives. Yeah, well, on Monday and Tuesday I spent 10 hours driving. I got one shovel serviced and a micro digger looked at on the Monday, and then Tuesday we were over at that 160 high track with the fuel filters, and that was 8 o'clock till 6:30 both days. But I don't feel like that's particularly productive, but there's no other work in that area to tie up with anything else. Wednesday was in and around the yard. I've got those jobs ticked off the list. They were to do, they're done. Yesterday was that wiring harness job, which took a little longer than I expected. I was hoping to get back to the yard and have that 27 done and make a start on a 6-tonner PDI in it. This machine's a bit out of the way, but it's in the yard here to service, so I'm taking the opportunity to get it while it's here rather than out in the wild. But yeah, like next week there, I've got that hitch to put together for that 85. I've got a Solar 140 and a bonnet to fit. That's a day's work. I've got DX300 down South Cumbria to do. That's a service. I've got a 210 up in the forestry in the middle of nowhere. That's just a 500-hour service. I'd like something else to do after that, because that's a nearly 2-hour drive for an hour's work. And there's another 210 coming back over into my area next week, hopefully. That's a 4,000-hour service. So I've got enough on to keep us entertained, and not too much that I can't squeeze breakdowns in around them. It's quite nice really, the workload that I've got on at the minute. And yeah, if the phone doesn't ring, then I'm busy till Thursday. If the phone does ring, then I'll probably still have all that done by next Friday. So, and that's without doing big hours. Like I say, if I wanted to, I could do it all in 3 days, but no point working yourself silly and then having nothing to do, is there? I don't think so anyway. So that's all the filters in there replaced. All the tools back. In a previous video not too long ago, somebody was asking, are we like on a salary or how are we paid? Because I think I talk about being productive and sort of squeezing an extra job in and X, Y and Z. We're paid by the hour. A standard working week is 8 AM till 4:30. Used to be 8:30 till 5 o'clock, but it's now 8 o'clock till 4:30. That's a standard working day, Monday to Friday. And then there's Saturday work. If you want to do it, you can do it. And there's also, you know, start early if you want. Start at 4 o'clock in the morning if you really want. Get home at 7:30. But you're not allowed to, obviously. You can't just start work at 4 o'clock and finish at 2:30 in the afternoon. If you're going to do that, you might as well start at 8 and finish at 4:30. But yeah, that's how it works. Paid by the hour. The reason why I talk about being productive is I'm just more talking about the use of my time. Obviously, cover Cumbria and the borders pretty much on my own. So there's no sense in going and doing a service at Moffat and then going all the way down to Ulverston and doing a service down there. It's not a good use of my time, because I spend more time sat driving the van than I do actually getting jobs done. And I think if I did that, I would end up getting very, very busy very, very quickly. So that's what I mean by just trying to be productive in my time, trying to get work gathered up into an area. But yeah, with regards to sort of starting times and things like that, yeah, if I really wanted to, I could leave the house at 6:30. I mean, I used to do it. I used to leave the house at 6:30, 7 o'clock, work away till 6, 7 o'clock, because all I really had was a mortgage to pay for, and my wife, she was working full time, so we still had time to see each other, and that was a good work-life balance. As you know yourself, if you have kids, it changes your outlook on life. So generally I'll start at 8 o'clock and I'll work away till, generally I don't finish at 4:30. Generally I'll try and finish at 5, 5:30. Generally find that's my acceptable finishing time for me personally. But as you know, sometimes you end up further away from home and you forget how long it takes to drive to places. You end up getting back just the tail end of 7 o'clock, which is fine. And then I think once I get it in my head that, well, even if I set off now, I'm still not going to be home before 7 o'clock, then I'll go and do more work in the area, because I think if I'm going to be late, I might as well be late and get another job squeezed in. That's my mentality anyway. It is. Okay, I'm going to lift this belly plate back on. It's not quite as big as the one on the high track yesterday. Engine oil's drained out of it, so tap's shut. Get this drained, get this engine filled back up, and then we'll change this refueling pump. I was talking to my colleague earlier in the week there. He's based out of Castle Douglas Depot. He's going away up to, or he's gone, who he is, probably still up that neck of the woods. He's up Fort William way this week. He's got 2 rotate kits to fit, one on a wheel digger, another one on a 20-ton digger, and a handful of breakdowns to do up in that neck of the woods. So yeah, he's kind of got, I would say, 3 days work to do up there, plus 4.5, 5 hour drive each way to get up into the area. He's staying out. That's quite a common thing for the Castle Douglas lads. They'll quite often run up that neck of the woods and have a couple of nights out. I think they enjoy it. But I remind myself that that's often why they get rakes of overtime. If I think about it, sort of to the very furthest edge of my area from home is about 2.5 hours. Furthest area that I regularly cover anyway. Whereas they're kind of going 4.5, 5 hours to their jobs sometimes. So I keep that in mind as well, because we have to regularly top up our overtime and make sure it's all been logged properly at the accounts end. And I can well imagine mine's probably sort of the lower end of overtime, but doesn't necessarily mean I'm getting less work done than everybody else. It just means that I'm not spending 5-6 hours travelling to a job before I get out the van. So, oh, it's tight. Yeah, I'm going to try with 2 hands, hang on. Yeah, sometimes with these drums you can take that ring pull off and the lids are just nice and easy to take off. Other times you almost need a set of filter pliers to get the lids off. They're really good, these drums, for pouring, because as you pour in, the air goes back in through the handle here. So they don't kind of glug out, they're just really, really nice pouring drums. Sounds sad, I know, but you don't half appreciate a nice pouring drum when you're doing as much servicing as what I do. Okay, finally a job that I never really enjoy doing, because It's well buried. Replace this pump. It's the refueling pump. So that pipe there is going to the tank. That pipe there is the bit that you use to refill the tank. The pump is working, but it's not doing anything. It's just there as a noise making device at the minute. So the biggest reason I don't like doing these is because all the grease falls off down into that hole and everything just gets full of junk. You can see, yuck, greasy leaves, disgusting, brash. Actually electric wiring laying down here, look. There's a diode, look. That's the sort of thing there that you look all over the machine for. They don't show you in a diagram where they place them. And that's in the right kind of spot there just to sit and rot, isn't it? Can you see what I'm on about here? That there. Anyway, I need to dig it all the way out to the floor here because there's 2 bolts down this side that I need to undo to get it off. Once this is off and out of the way, it's a great job to clean up. I can nearly feel 1, 2 there. Even just undoing the plug here is a bit of a fiddle. I've had Roland right in here, or Mickey Mouse, one of the two. There we go, right, I need to unplug that. There we go, it doesn't look like it, but I have cleaned that hole out a bit. There's the pump. They are awkward little devils to get the pipes off. They really are. If I jump down, that's how much stuff I've dug out. Just pushed it down that hole over there. So I have made a difference. Out with the old, in with the new. Goes without saying, when you do clean that area out over there, just make sure you don't sweep a load of stuff into the pipes and then shove the pipes onto the fittings here and then suck all that up into the diesel tank and then 100 hours later wonder why you go into it because it won't run. Right, I'll put this one in the vise then and I'll swap these fittings across. It's a bit upsetting that they don't come with fittings, look. But never mind. So that's the pumps fittings swapped. They are just a vane pump. You can take that plate off the front there and strip it down and give it a clean up and but I find there's no guarantee. I have stripped them down and within a week they've packed in again, or some of them have gone a couple of months and then packed in. You just delaying the inevitable. Like I say, it's a vane pump, and if you think about how many litres of fuel, over 4,500 hours that this machine has supped, this pump's probably put 75-80% of its fuel into itself, so they'll have done a fair shift. And even when a machine is brand new, once the machine goes to site, there is no warranty on these pumps, and that's purely because you could use that pump to do anything. Yep, here's my Monday work coming in. So yeah, anyway, what I was saying was you should always check that these pumps are working on PDI before they go out, because if they're not working, the machine goes out and does an hour's work and you find out it's not working, then there's nothing we can do. And the reason for that is there's no real filter on the suction pipe, so there's nothing to say that the customer has just chucked the pipe into a drum of oil, a drum of diesel that's got grit and all sorts of stuff in it, and it's knackered the pump. I think that's the reasoning behind it. I can understand it, like, They're not that expensive though, so it's not the end of the world. There we go. Somewhere like that. A couple of Jubilee clips and 4 bolts. These are 12mm, by the way, if you ever want to replace one of these. Save you going backwards and forwards to your van. 12mm headed bolts then. The RM8s. If you do lose them, you can just use normal M8s. There we go, all done. Oh, just banged my head. Make sure it works. Oh yeah, that sounds a bit better, doesn't it? Huh? Right, I'll put this step back on. I hate putting these steps on and off. Really do. Decide to do this quite a lot these days is make a 3D panel, so when you try and get the bolts in there you have to mess about. Annoys me. I'll scrape all of that off of there. Yes, that is Monday, all booked up, ready to go. Got that hitch to do on that 8-tonner. That phone call there was off a customer with a 6-tonner, which will be on the way to the 8-tonner. I've just got one more phone call to make, and that one be the day put in. And that'll get 3 jobs off my list, which will be nice. Yeah, we're up and running. Final walk round. Make sure there's nothing pouring out of it that it shouldn't be. Oh, good. Hey up. Yeah, I left an empty drum behind. Right, we'll switch that off. Lock all the doors up. Leave it as you found it out. So I just like to reset. Good, we're all done. Give that a shut properly. One. Leave that one open a minute because I need to isolate it. 2, 3. Hell of a job being a digger driver, locking everything up, isn't it? Right. I've just had my salesman on the phone as well. He was asking if the DX27's finished, which it is. I did tell him, notice when I was PDAing it, there's only one work light on it, which is in the middle of the boom. So we're gonna Monday morning just quickly put a couple more work lights on it. There's one to go on the back of the cab, one to go on the front. Okay, I'm gonna have a really restful weekend hopefully. So my wife's talking about wanting to go for a walk in the Lake District. She doesn't realise I'm out in the fresh air like this during the week. I've had my fresh air for the week. I just want to stay at home in front of the fire. Anyway, I'm going to try and have a restful weekend. Try and shake the rest of this bug off. Hopefully, beginning of next week, I'll have fresh energy. I've really struggled with my energy this week. I have, and I've not had any energy drinks at all. Try to knock them out. No energy drinks. It's easier said than done, you know, when you're just feeling a little bit at the 2 o'clock mark in the day. You think, well, just a little bottle of Lucozade just to pep me up. It's too easy done, like. It is. Before you know it, you've had half a dozen teaspoons of sugar, and then you wonder when you're 50-year-old why you're diabetic all of a sudden. Anyway, I'm just rambling. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this rambling video. See you in the next one.